With Memorial Day in the rear view mirror and one of the last weeks off this A-Square competition will get, they now set their fast tracks on towards the playoffs in a handful of weeks' time as we inch closer and closer to the regular season finale. Hello everyone, my name is Kevin Young, bringing you the action here for the title did not update, but it's Darlington here for President's 7-bar barbecue for, I guess it says the Nashville 220, but I'm guessing that information did not fully switch over. But regardless, my name is Kevin Young, and we are here for A-Squared action here tonight. Actually, let me make sure we get the name right here as we do show on the board right now. John Hagan taking his first of 2 qualifying laps here. So as he finishes his first lap here, he will start his second lap in just a second. It is the Nashville 220. Odd name choice for being in Darlington, but regardless, it is the ARCS Nashville 220. Caught me off guard for just a second, but regardless, it's glad you are here to join us tonight. Let's get everything on the screen here as we see John Hagan about to finish his second lap in the books. I'm just going to go low. Going to have to beat a time of a 2.842 if he wants to put the car on pole position. Comes across the line, and he will not improve on his second run. Actually, looks like he ran dead even. He did. So he will stay P2. Let's cut to Chris Fleming here, and we'll ride on board with Chris Fleming inside his cockpit here. And he'll kind of give us a overview of what you got to do around Darlington to try to be at least a little bit on the competitive fast side here. Obviously, with being an egg-shaped oval because of the meadow pond, you can have weird, awkward lines, and sometimes it's a 1-car groove, sometimes it can be 2, depending on how daring you elect to be. And as you can see with Fleming kind of taking it a bit conservative here, doesn't want to risk spinning it out, wants to put down a banker lap. First lap in the books for him. It's going to be good enough for 16th, so he's going to go a bit harder here. Don't want to touch the wall, as that will be an invalidation during qualifying. So you've got to make sure you keep your fenders clean here. Make sure both laps are competitive. Obviously, in the main race, drivers will be prone to paint that wall up there in black, as we see right there Fleming hits the wall a little bit there. And you can get away with it. You can tap the wall as much as your heart desires, as long as you don't smack the thing a ton. Fleming comes across the line. Second lap will not get him any higher due to that invalidation. Look down the board here. We got a few other drivers taking laps. Ethan Wood now coming out of the pit lane in his number 88 DeWalt Ford. They'll stop to try to chase down Zach Millett's time of 28.42. As you see on the scrolling board above the screen, you can tell it is going to be a hard time to beat. As Hagan is about 5 tenths away, and even Feather Place is the 10th away. So as Wood starts his 2 flying laps, we'll take this opportunity as well to go over some quick situations here. Obviously, for starters, Darlington, even though it is Darlington, no drivers are running throwbacks that I'm aware of, at least in the knowledge book. We'll obviously see the schemes as they go around the track, but it's not a scheme week, so drivers are free to run whatever they so choose. Obviously, if they wanted to run a throwback, they could be more than able to if they so choose. Second thing, we're also in the middle of the bracket challenge, as we are now getting closer and closer to the completion. As we take a look at the bracket right now, only 4 drivers remain standing. Kevin Feemster and Joshua Battles, they'll be fighting off for a final appearance. They'll be fighting for a finals appearance. Meanwhile, Zach Miller and Brandon Featherplace, teammates, will be fighting for the other spot in the bracket challenge. So it's going to be an interesting fight here. See who will be in the finals next week, and will be trying to punch their tickets to win the bracket challenge. And actually, I think with Feemster not here tonight, because I do see him not on the books sheets. Yep, he will not be here tonight. So by default, Joshua Battles will make the run. He will be in the finals. By default, yep, he is here, obviously in his number 11 machine, so he is here, so he will make the finals by default. So as we wait for the session to complete here, we'll watch Zach Millet just do some extra laps of practice, which he is prone to do. So obviously, really the only battle left to watch for the bracket challenge tonight will be Featherplace versus Millet, as obviously with Feemster not here, just going to do a double check just to make sure. Yep, he's not here, so it will be a fight between those 2 drivers to fight Joshua Battles in the finale of the bracket challenge next week. And that next week's battle will be at Kansas. So we'll be interested to see how that all plays out. So as we're waiting for the session to complete here, obviously everyone has done their qualifying laps that elect to do their qualifying laps. We're currently watching our eventual pole sitter here, Zach Millett, do some extra laps of practice. So you are tuning in just a little bit late. You've not missed much. Qualifying has officially run to its completion, thanks to Just the Top for sponsoring qualifying as always, as we will get ready for the main show. We obviously will have 5 minutes of warm-up, and then we will go on towards the main race. The qualifying has reached its natural conclusion. So the session will now officially be lights out here, and we will move on to the next one. Oh, that's your pole sitter right there, Zach Millett, looking poised, try to get another win in that number 31. Obviously, you're going to have the best chance to do that starting on the front row, and he'll set himself up for success. But first, we'll head on to warm-up. So as it is per usual, drivers will have 5 minutes to take some extra time here to practice, get their cars set up nicely, make sure they're feeling comfortable, and make sure they are good to go for the main race. So as cars begin to file out here onto the track, obviously Dale Markowski will be the first driver to do it, doing double duty. If you obviously saw last night on the Twitch stream on ABN's 1's Twitch channel, you would have saw obviously the high octane truck series. Some of these drivers you'll see in the field tonight took part in those festivities, including Dale Markowski. So we just want to make sure the audio is good here. 1 second, turning that down just a hair. But as Markowski hits the track here, we'll go over some of the information we'll have ahead for us for tonight's race. So obviously tonight we're going to have 160 laps. Stages will be at lap 25 and lap 80. 6 sets of tires will be available for these drivers if they so need it. 50% fuel capacity like usual, and no fast repairs. And if we do get any green-white checkered attempts, we'll have a max of 3 attempts. Obviously, with the field count being under the requirement, we will not have any drivers getting bumped here. So every driver has officially made the field. Well, we also got this opportunity. We'll go over the points as well, as we are getting closer and closer to the regular season finale here. As we see Dale Markowski, pit lane can be very tricky, and it's very good to practice that early on here to make sure the car feels comfortable coming in and out, because you don't want to be caught out, miss the pit lane, and put yourself really behind the 8-ball. But to go back to my point, obviously after tonight, we'll have Kansas, Dover, Road America, Kentucky, and Talladega. 5 more rounds after tonight to set the 16th field for the A-Square Championship. And taking a look at those points real fast. So we look at the stats right now, just doing some quick math calculations. Obviously, the line gets a bit finicky just because of drivers having the 80% rule. And obviously, with certain drivers like Hagan right now, not fully at requirement. Millett also not at full requirement yet. They are on pace to make it, but they are still in a bit of a question mark of whether or not they'll make the required amount of races to qualify for the playoffs. But at the moment, looking at what the line would be, that is currently Kevin Feemster at the moment, who is about 3 points ahead of Colin McDonough, who is currently 17th in the standings. But obviously, looking above the line, you have Markowski, Tucker, Galloway, Michelle, Pinnell, obviously Millett and Hagan, all yet to either be at their threshold to get in or currently above the line. So that line can still very much fluctuate. So obviously, Feemster not at the moment, pretty much, I would say not safe at the moment, because at the very least, Millett and Hagan both would bump the line up by 2 and would change the line from Feemster to about Josh Gaiman. And there's a gap of, if I'm doing my math right, only about, 18 points difference, because he's at 260 and he's at 248. So that's a 12-point difference between Feemster and Gaiman. And obviously, with Feemster not here tonight, a lot of things can still change. So there's still a lot to play for in the standings here. A lot of unknowns. Will drivers be able to still hit their eligibility quotas? And in turn, if they can hit their eligibility quotas, they could maybe bump a driver out late. But looking at some of the other information, constructors-wise, right now Bowie Esports has about a 100-point lead over B-Tron, as they are beginning to pull away in the constructors. And Brian Dixon leads the Rookie Year award standings over Steve Tucker by 7 points, with Chris Fleming 29 behind and Matt Mordon 46 behind. So it's still all to play for here tonight in the Rookie of the Year standings as well. So session about done here. Obviously, we're just following Josh Gaiman here. Speaking of him, so we kind of kept it on him here. But right now, fastest car on track is Zach Millett still. Did not sweep the sessions as he was the second fastest car in practice. Obviously, Blake Galloway was the fastest in practice. But Millett right now fastest in qualifying and fastest in warm-up. Obviously looking to go for the trifecta here. 3 for 3 in the last 3 sessions. But obviously still a long way to play. And we know this is the track that favors into both Feather Place and John Hagan's hands. So Millett is going to have a lot to contest with as we get onto the main race. 150 laps await these drivers. And as we move on, we are going to get ready. So we'll see you on the other side. So as you can see here, as we load on in, crowd will file on in. And if you are joining us, thank you for joining us here and filing in just in time for the Nashville 220 presented by 7 Bar Barbecue here at Darlington Raceway in Darlington, USA, a.k.a. Darlington, South Carolina. So as they drivers get in, they spawn on the grid. We're going to take a look at the starting grid and see where everyone will file outward. Obviously, Zach Millett and John Hagan, they will make up row number 1. Row number 2 is going to be, as well, I have to hit the right button here to make sure we move onward. It will be Brandon Featherplace and Jonathan Adams. That is the wrong button. Row number 3 will be Keith Hackney and Josh Gaiman. They'll make up row 3. Row 4, Austin Mongold filling in the 74 for Jeremy Braille and Seth Wanzing. They'll be in row 4. Matt Vordon and Dale Markowski will be in row 5. Row 6 will be Edward Marshall and Ryan Pinnell. Row 7 will be Patrick Oberstadt and Blake Galloway, who was fastest in practice. We'll have to keep an eye on him. Row 8, Joshua Battles and Chris Fleming. Row 9, Ross Baxter and Matthew Kent. Row 10, Tommy Withers and Brian Dixon. Row 11, Colin McDonough and Ethan Wood. Row 12, Brian Johnson and Gavin Hutspeth. Row 13, Michael Cheeseburger Lawrence and Cody Pinnell. Row 14, obviously that car is not taking place. That is our race director, and he will be obviously not taking part in the festivities. So as the cars begin to go around the track here, going to get one lap of pacing here before we set off on the way. We'll take a quick look at the analytics. I think this does work. Yes, it does. Perfect. So we have 160 laps here, 1 mile. Pit road speed being 55. Seems like the window's 45 to 50 laps. We'll put a pin in that and see if that is correct. Obviously, I'm not directly sure, but corners bank-wise, 14, 9, and 6 at the very least. But at the very least, with Darlington being a very mile track, these laps can tick by quickly if they're not careful. And a quick look at the weather. Obviously, air track being 73, track temp being 76, winds coming 8 miles an hour from the southwest. And it's partly cloudy, so a little wind could affect these cars just a tiny bit, but shouldn't play too much of a factor. As the pace car gets ready to pull off, all restarts. The first restart will be on the control of green. Every other restart will be on the leaders. All that, though, I think we're ready to get this show on the road. Green flag is out, and the Nashville 220 is underway. And last week's race winner will continue off with his lucky ways as he will lead the first lap here. Obviously, John Hagan won last week at Atlanta in a photo finish against Patrick Oberstadt. And right now he takes back his lead. Hagan obviously has the most wins here this season at 3. He's one of the only few drivers in the double win club at the moment, as he's the only car with 3 wins and the only car with double wins, the other being Zach Millett, who is now found himself nicely into P2 here, as he's going to get himself into a nice rhythm. While that cars begin to battle out on the track, top 4 begin to get spaced out, so we'll go a little bit further back here. Jonathan Adams, Josh Gaiman, Seth Wansing, and Keith Hackney. They're all on our screen right now. They are currently sitting in from 4th all the way to 7th. Pretty much everyone is in pretty much an umbrella here. As no one wants to be too aggressive here early, risk, junking the car, make a mistake, but with this track being kind of a bit narrow, but at the same time, you don't want to be caught out with a bad speed difference. Thanks opportunity. While we're kind of watching this battle, we'll watch on board with Keith Hackney here. He's got a pretty good view in his number 69 machine. And it'll show you kind of the situation where you try to go low, try to go high, just try to find something. It's more about maybe finding the mistake or allowing the driver ahead to make a slight mistake and then being ready to capitalize. Gaming goes up the wall just a bit. We'll get stuck in the wall, and that will open the door for Seth Wansing. And in turn, that will also open the door for Keith Hackney to get a run here. Dale Markowski, you can see him in the far shot, will get around that 4 machine, which is technically, I believe, that is Austin Mongold. Obviously, filling in for the 74, but got the 4 stickers off there as well. He gets passed by Dale Markowski, so put Mongold down the 9th. And Ryan Pinnell has gotten that number 12 inside the top 10, but he will go aggressive there and try to get around, and he will successfully do so. And see, the 4 can't get down now, so the 00 going to try to follow suit. Sunoco signed it up, block it off a little, but they're going to take a long straight shot down the backstretch. Vordon not going to be as lucky at the moment on the corn panel of the 4. Still going to be side by side at the moment. Oh, and Mongo going to get a little loose, and he's going to get touched right into Edward Marshall coming down the road, and nowhere for Patrick Oberstadt to go. And that should be our caution here. It is 2 cars. Still no call yet. And there the caution will call. So that will be our first caution of the night. So obviously we got kind of watched it pretty much unfold here. And obviously we wonder how much damage Mongold and Oberstadt have, as Oberstadt definitely hit driver's side on Mongold, and you can see some of the scratches. Meanwhile, Patrick Oberstadt, yeah, that front is a bit caved in, so you're going to wonder if any horsepower got affected on that 60. But we'll take a quick look at the cause of incident here, and obviously we were watching it, so we'll play it out again, though. And you'll see just 2 cars fighting hard. And Mongo just comes down the road a bit, gets him loose. Marshall nowhere to go. And then in turn, yeah, Oberstadt even less to go. Good avoidance, though, by Wood. Obviously scratches up the side, but ends up taking a good enough evasive action not to tear up the machine. Take another look here. We'll see if we can get a little closer. Yeah, we'll go with a nice scene. Got to find the right camera. There we go. So we'll play it out here. We'll play it at a little bit slower speed. And just shows you how these walls can suck in a little bit. So Mongold up on that wall. Vordon trying to side draft. He just gets in that wall just a bit. Ping-pongs him off. And at that point, Vordon is there. That gets them both loose. And then obviously nowhere to go for the 16 and the 60. Ooh. We'll take one more look at this incident here. We'll ride on board with Patrick Oberstadt. Obviously, he hits the wall a bit there to start the run. That allows Kent to get a run and Baxter, but it's going to go from bad to worse here. On the brakes, maybe going to go low, and, well, there's sometimes nothing you can do. Obviously, the 4, he was going to go low, commit low, and the 4 kind of kicked the other direction, and he ends up piling in. So back to live action, you can see pit road, a bit crowded at the moment. Obviously, the 60 going to get his car fixed up here, along with Austin Mongold in the 4. However, back up towards the front, it is John Hagan, Zach Miller, Brandon Featherplace, Jonathan Adams, and Seth Wansing, your top 5. 3 cars elected to come in, excluding the cars obviously involved in the wreck. Dixon, McDonough, and Wood all elect to come in here. But as we see on pit lane, as the pace car is about to come around here, Mongold is still stationary at the moment. Cheeseburger Lawrence will get out, as we've seen a lot of cars get stuck in the wall here. Actually, it looks like everyone will beat the count here before the pace car comes around, so they'll all stay on the lead lap. And we will continue on with 25 cars on the lead lap. Speaking of, we just got the 1 to go, so we'll see if the field can get caught up here. If not, we may get delayed 1 lap here. Because it will come down to how quickly a pace car can get around here. With the stage only ending on lap 25, we have a short run to the stage. So a lot can play out here. Got Hagen, Millett, row 1, Featherplace Adams, row 2, Wanzing, Hackney, row 3, Gaiman, Markowski, row 4, and Ryan Pinnell and Chris Fleming, your first 5 rows here. Pace car pulls off, control will be on John Hagen. And green flag is out, and away we go. Launch here by Hagen. Rest of the cars will begin to file in here of note. Getting a little bit racy further back. Matthew Kent, Chris Fleming here, battling for 11th place honors. Obviously, top 10 get stage points, so there is the incentive to fight here a little bit. Make sure you get some stage points, as stage points can be crucial, especially with the line ever fluctuating. You want to make sure you get yourself as many points as you can, so when you go into Talladega in about 5 weeks' time, you know what your car has. You know what you have to do to make sure you're fighting for a championship, and by end of July. Back up front, Millett getting a better run here than he did first stage. He's keeping honest with John Hagen. This may be something to note, as maybe fall off is favoring, and long run is favoring that 2031 car at the moment. Go on board with the rear end of John Hagen here. Obviously, last time by, he set a personal best and a session best of the session, so showing why he loves this track. Keeps getting that car put correctly here. He's going to run high. He's going to clip the wall just a bit, though, there. Put a tiny scrape, and like we just saw in the first pit stop window there when the cars came under green, those little hits will cause damage and affect damage that you may elect to take under a pit stop window. So cars that get damaged on their right sides from all those wall taps can elect to fix it, and in turn, they do elect to fix it. It could take them from maybe running in the top 5 to outside of the top 5. So you got to make sure you keep your car as pristine as you can. Make sure you don't have to take extra service to make that car go as quickly as it need be. So as these two keep the pace going, we'll go a little bit further back in the field here. Seth Wanzing, Keith Hackney, they're getting a little bit scrappy here for 5th. But no side-by-side action at the moment. Wanzing looking to try to get a good run here. Obviously only 2-time series champion in A-squared history. There's no other drivers you have to find second. Obviously, if Hagen were to bring home the title this year, he would join Seth Wanzing as company history, but still a long way to go before you can cash that check. Looking for the last stage point at the moment is still under Blake Galloway's possession, as he's got Ryan Pinnell ahead of him and Chris Fleming first car out. Gaiman seems to be struggling a little bit right now as he's lost touch that second pack, and he's fallen to the clutches here. Obviously, Darlington not a track in his favorite wheelhouse. He is a driver that needs a good run here. As, again, looking at the points, he doesn't have as many points he can willingly cough up. And for a driver that made the playoffs the last 2 seasons, him not making it would be quite a shock. We'll go back up to Hackney and Wanzing, as Wanzing looks poised to maybe make a move here. He's on the corner panel of that 69 machine, who does look like he is throwing it back possibly to a Richard Petty STP scheme. But obviously, at least with the blue and the red. However, obviously, some of the differences, a lot of the thing. So, jury is out on that one. Further up, Jonathan Adams, Brandon Featherplace. They're beginning the fight. As they fight for 3rd. Adams, again, another driver that's had some strong runs, but has really not been able to fully finish those runs. but still having a decent run right now in the standings. Currently sitting 8th, so well at the moment comfortably in over 100 points above the line. But still, you don't want to keep putting foots wrongs if you can help it. Back up towards the top 2, Hagen and Millet. 5 laps to go in the stage as they are dueling it out here. Can Hagen get a run? Looking at the last lap times, and Millet was faster last lap by a 10th. However, they are interchanging at the very least. Ooh, a little bit loose there by Millet in the 31. That's going to cost them some time. Gap will go to 3/10. For the back, Wansing and Hackney. Wansing going to try to make the move, and he will get the job done. To put Steph Wansing into the top 5, Hackney will fall down to 6th. Battle for last stage point. Blake Galloway under pressure here from Chris Fleming, our 500 winner. So Fleming obviously locked into the playoffs, just looking to keep the good times rolling, but can't fully get the job done. That's going to open the door for Matthew Kent on the low side, but he can also not keep his car steady on that low groove, and he'll have to slot back in and try to regroup. So let's watch this. We'll go back up to our top 3. Adams, Feather Place, still relatively close. Kind of just jumping around, battle to battle, track to track. These intervals are growing and non-growing, but one thing that is at the very least growing is John Hagen's gap over Zach Millet up to 6/10 with 2 laps to go in the stage. See, back up. This is the closest thing we have on track, and it is for the last stage point. These 4 drivers fighting for 1 point. Whoever's the in 10th spot gets that point, and Fleming got some distance on Kent, but Kent is finding some good late run pace here, but he is beginning to struggle. White flag in the air for the stage here. Stage will end once the 10th place car crosses the line, so they are going to race this out here, so we're going to keep an eye on this. And caution out here, so the stage will be neutralized before it ends. Because obviously it's lap 25, not lap 24. Not seeing anything of note. So we'll take a quick look, and then we'll take a look so we can find out what the caution was in a second here. But if we look at our top 10, this would be the quickest way to do it. There we go. So Hagen, Millet, Adams, Featherplace, Wansing, Hackney, Markowski, Pinnell, Gaiman, and Galloway will all get stage points. So we'll take a quick look here, see if anything of note happened. Obviously, this was the point of the caution. So this is the point of the caution here. Let's take a look around and see if we can find anything. Check the 43. He's fine. Just looking at any passes that would have happened. Cheeseburger Lawrence, he's around the right direction. Edward Marshall. Just going to click around here, see if anyone is the wrong way around here. Not seeing anything in notes. May have just been an early call for the stage end there. So regardless, we are going to go back to live action. Something did happen. Do apologize, but not seeing anything of report. And at the same point, we were right near the stage break anyway, so probably just a stage caution ender. So I quickly take this car drop here. Pit lane races will come out, and Blake Galloway will win the race off pit lane, electing to roll the dice with a 2-tire call. Everyone else will take 4 tires in fuel. Hagen's crew will get him out of the 4 tire runners with Millet, Featherplace, Adams, and Wansing. Your next 5. Obviously, Vordon, Lawrence, and Marshall, they'll stand pit lane a little longer here. They will elect to get some extra service here from that earlier caution. Looks like Marshall may have just actually pulled it behind the wall. Yeah, it looks like his day is officially done. So Edward Marshall will be one of the first retirements here, along with Ethan Wood. And Vordon going to cut it close here. will still beat the pace car. So we'll have 23 cars still running, all 23 cars that are running around the lead lap. Edward Marshall and Ethan Wood, your only 2 retirements here. So we got the 1 to go in this 1 to go before we start stage number 2. Obviously, stage 2 a little bit longer than stage 1. Let me just confirm the number real fast. Make sure we got the right number down. Yep, it's lap 80. So 60 laps in tow for these drivers. Well, around 60, you could say. Yeah, give or take. Obviously, looking at the fuel numbers, if the numbers are correct, 45 to 50, there will be at least 1 pit stop in this stage. If it were to go green, if obviously there's yellow, they may come down a bit earlier. Some drivers may be opening the save. The other question, obviously, is can 2 tires hang on when you got 4 tires in a sea around you? Galloway will be the test dummy here, and we'll see how it all plays out. As the pace car pulls on off, we're going to start stage number 2. Green flag is out, and away we go to start the second stage. As Hagen gets a run down the straight here, got in the wall out of 1, now going to come down here on the low side, going back in the 1, I should say. Galloway will lead that lap, but Hagen can see just trying to get that move done here, knowing does not want to get stuck around Millett's teammate. And Millett now going to take this opportunity. He's going to try to rip it high side on Hagen. High line, the preferred line, as Hagen's going to have to try to diamond it to come back up. He'll have to leave some space. Oh, Millett got a little loose, but he will get the nose ahead. He will lead that lap. So Hagen is yet to lead a lap in stage 2, and both Bowie Esports cars have led at least a lap. And Hagen can't stay side to side forever. He'll slot in the second and re-grip. So now the question obviously is, how will Galloway's tires play out here? He's already lost a couple spots. We know that car has got top 10 speed. But can he hang on with those older tires? He's got Jonathan Adams hounding the back of him at the moment, and as we'll ride on board with the Hendrick Chevrolet of Seth Wansing. He'll give us a pretty good view of what's ahead of him here. As Adams is going to go low here in his Carolina Hurricanes paint scheme here. Obviously a bit of a rough week for the Hurricanes as they got hit by the Panthers of Florida, and they will miss out on the Stanley Cup Finals. Adams will get the job done. Now Seth Wansing looking to set that move up as well. Up front, Zach Millett just set the fastest lap of the race. Dead heat with John Hagen. They both ran 28.56s, so at the moment they are putting themselves in the world to beat here as we see Seth Wansing looking to make a move on Blake Galloway. Oh, still side by side. Wansing trying to maybe put a little squeeze on him. Obviously, you got to leave respect, but you also know you don't want to let the competition get too far away. You know you got the tire advantage. And he will get the job cleared. Galloway going to try to come around, give a little tump to the rear of Wansing, but that will not upset the car. Wansing will continue on. Now Featherplace going to try to follow suit as well. And remember, Featherplace is fighting Zach Millett for a trip to the finals of the Bracket Challenge. So he knows his main rival's right now leading this race if he wants to get in, but look at it right there. Galloway teammates collide. Galloway going to get stuck, and he's going to get right into Fleming. I should say Hackney, and the caution is going to come out. Ooh, and Oberstadt going to kick the rear end there. So teammates end up colliding a little bit there. Obviously not what you want to do when racing this hard. This could confirm one thing real fast, and we'll take a look at the replay. Actually, they are not teammates. Sorry, my mistake. 03 at Dixon, so I will take the correction there. That's 1MA racing car under the privilege of 1MA Racing. So my mistake. Galloway and Featherplace are not teammates. Same thing with that. But regardless, they will bring out the second caution. So we'll take a quick look. Obviously, we did see what happened, but we'll watch it again here just for perspective for the viewers at home. And we'll follow the 05 And obviously, it's just going to start here as we rewind a bit. Got to pull up my replay camera here. There we go. So you can just see 2 cars fighting hard, and we're going to go right to about halfway through the corner here, and we'll go with the camera I love, because it never lies. Played out at half speed. You can see right there, 34 coming up, 05 kind of holding line, but coming down. They just touch. They get together, similar to Bush and Craven in 03. They touch once. That upsets the 05, and he ping-pongs off into the 34 again. It gets them both loose. Nowhere for the 05 to go. He gets hit by the 69, I should say. But other than that, though, very low-speed incident. And then, obviously, Patrick Oberstadt has a little bit of a moment a little bit further down. We'll take 2 more looks at this. We'll take another look this time from the 34's perspective. Obviously, this is after the incident in question, so we'll go back. Yeah, just a little scrape there, a little contact. 34 ends up saving it, but Galloway not so lucky, and Pinnell actually gained a spot because of that. 2 cars actually with Gaiman and Kent. There's actually a little bit of shoving there between Gaiman and Kent, too, before the caution came out. So that will be our caution. We'll take one more look just to see what happened to the 60. I was just going for bad, the worst for Oberstadt here. Obviously slowing up for the incident. Trying to get on the brakes here, knowing the 05's there, and it just ends up spinning out there. But luckily, again, very low speed, so probably no major damage. Speaking of the 60, he'll come down pit lane to fix up his car and the little damage he got. Keith Hackney also involved in an incident. He is down on the way of pit lane. Blake Galloway just came out of pit lane, so his car is very repairable. So a lot of cars have been getting into the wall here are now coming down the pit lane to fix it up, using this opportunity to do so. So we just officially got the 1 to go. Marshall and Wood obviously are out of this race. Other than that, though, everyone will beat the count. They will continue on. Withers coming down pit lane here with the 1 to go. So we'll see if what exactly happened. Looks like he's just come in to top off. Maybe play a little extra strategy here to try to make the stage work here. So it's going to be Millett, Hagan, Adams, Pinnell, Featherplace, Kent, Baxter, Fleming, Wanzing, Mongold, your top 10. And actually worth noting as well, Wanzing was first drivers to pit along with Gaiman, Hudspeth, Fordon, Dixon. They also came in as well, so they will give up their spots and they will fire off from 10th on back. Control will be on Millett here as we're going to get ready to go again. Green flag is out, and away we go. And you can see right there, Adams trying to push Millett there, but Millett did not get the restart he needed. He'll be side by side with Hagan heading off into 1. Hagan trying to hang the corner pan, but just can't do it. He'll slot in. Now going to try to over-under him. He's going to have a good line here. Adams also looking to make it almost 3 abreast, but he's going to think better of it, knowing if these two collide, he could be in the catbird seat. Best to let them fight. Millett going to have the good run here, but Hagan going to make it a drag race. That was for the last lap. It would have went to Millett. However, it is only lap 38. No, Adams has no real allegiance to either car as he's driving for B-Tron. But obviously, B-Tron is a little bit more of a partnership with Hagan than he would with Millett. But regardless, Millett will finally get the job done. He'll slot up to the top spot again. And look at Ryan Pinnell going to go aggressive in the corner. Can't make it stick with the Bulldog on the front. And he is going to end up almost getting caught there by a Featherplace. So I saw that pink and white machine from the girl dad. But just couldn't fully get the job done. Kent will stay ahead of Fleming. We'll see Featherplace try to make a move here again on that 12. As you're watching this battle here, we're going to cut back. Seth Wanzing, with his fresher tires, going to make a move. Actually, not even on fresher tires. He's just came in for fuel. So he's going to slot up and get around Ross Baxter for 9th. Further back, obviously right there, Fleming getting a good run at the moment. Actually, we're going to cut up to the race lead here as it's getting pretty dicey. Hagen with a great run down the backstretch was watching those temps shave off, but he couldn't fully get the job done. So Hagen, though, going to sum himself up quite nicely coming down the front stretch here. Can't get it done. So, yeah, it's just running line, maybe playing a bit of possum, playing with your food. So ride on board, not with Hagen. We'll ride on board here now with Hagen. And actually, we'll ride on board with Jonathan Adams. He's third car in Brest here. He's got about a healthy gap to Feather Place in fourth, who was able to get around Ryan Pinnell while we were watching this. It's all about gamesmanship. The two drivers that I think a lot of people had pegged to be in the Final Four at season's end, they're having a duel similar to last season. Obviously, again, don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. Still a long season. A lot of drivers can obviously turn the season on their heads, but it's a safe bet. The championship may come down to one of those two drivers we're seeing up in the front. So Adams stays patient in third, going to bide his time, make sure he doesn't really put a foot wrong here. And watch these top two. We'll come back to this battle in just a second here. I was thinking about it, but then we're seeing a good run here, so we'll hold off on that switch. Was thinking about going to see another battle here, but they're all pretty much under a blanket. So while we got the second, now we're going to cut back. We're seeing battles. Hudspeth, Gaiman, and Vordon. They're fighting here for 11th honors. Side by side at the moment. If that lead gets side by side, we will cut back. But right now, they are still nose to tail. And Gaiman will try to clear Hudspeth in his Craftsman machine, and he will do it. Now Vordon looking poised to make something happen here. We're going to cut back to the race lead again. It was getting close. They fell under a 10th. That is our alert to go back. Hagen, though, gets a little loose off exit. And Jonathan Adams springing the life here, but he's also going to get loose as well. So the checkup going to affect all three drivers, and they will fall back nose to tail. So as we watch the top three, we're going to jump around here. We're going to cut back. Now this is kind of cooled down. We'll go back to the battle here in the second pack, led by Brandon Featherplace currently sitting in fourth. Then you got Pinnell, Kent, Fleming, and Wanzing in the second pack here. And you can see right there, 38, thinking about making a move. Pull him up on our screen. There he goes. 12 goes high, 15 going to hold Bruce, and now 38 going to get the good run off the back stretch. Can he make a move on that? Bucky's 15. At the moment, not going to have the full opportunity to do anything. As we watch this battle, we'll go to the last stage point right now, held by this man. It was Austin Mongold. Now it's Josh Gaiman at the moment. This Gaiman will slot in for 10th. Obviously, Gaiman, another one of those drivers that came in on lap 35 to come off and top off the car. He's gotten that 61 back inside the top 10. As we just keep jumping, we're going to go back to Ryan Pinnell here. We're just jumping from battle to battles. Everything is kind of close here. It's not like the intervals kind of lie to you. When you look at it, you see it's a 10th. It's a 10th here. And actually, speaking of, Millet Hagen, some of the intervals lying is falling down. Hagen thinking about getting a run here off exit. Can't fully get the job done, but this is one of the best chances he's had. But I think, again, he's playing a bit of possum. So why don't we use the opportunity? We'll go on board with Hagen here, go inside the cockpit of the number 1 machine. We'll pull up his data. We'll just watch him here for a lap. See what exactly he's doing. Does that time by? Advantage Millet, but you can see, again, maybe a slight lift. Yeah, there's a lift right there. Doesn't want to fully set something up here unless he's forced to, and now he's pulling a little bit of a gap to Adams. Doesn't feel fully pressured here. Obviously, you can see the bumper sticker on the Toyota of Zach Millet there, just like you're running around on highway speeds. It can be a bit distracting if you're not keeping an eye on it. But again, yeah, Hagen lifting just a bit. You can hear the throttle here. Obviously lifting the rotate, but also lifting not fully to get a run. So Hagen is playing a bit of possum here at the moment, not trying to force the issue. Just lifting and getting the car at the right speed. And since they are pulling a healthy distance to Jonathan Adams, there's no reason to press the issue unless the door opens, and you'll see it there. Hagan, will he fully commit this time by? That's the low side, but he'll back out. Like there, he'll just back out, let Milt clip the wall a bit, so not going to fight it. Just playing it smart, playing it smooth, and playing it collective. Watch top two. We'll go a little bit further back here. Keep an eye on that battle, but nothing of note. We see Seth Wansing, Ryan Pennell, Matthew Kent. They're still keeping their battle going for 5th. Again, last stage point moment belongs to that man, Josh Gaiman, but he has caught up to the tail end of the second pack from 5 to 9, now 10, as he has opened up a gap to Blake Galloway, who's now the first car out on stage points. Ooh, Feather Place gets a little bit... Actually, not that, but it was Ryan Pennell. Sorry, he gets a little bit up the road there. We have a first car pitting. Austin Mongold in the 474 technically on the timing and scoring boards. He is in. Obviously, the car doesn't look heavily damaged. We'll keep an eye on his times. That's the wrong number. We'll take a look at the pit report. Now, speaking of Jonathan Adams, he'll be the first car to come in, so it looks like B-Tron going to do the undercut here along with Cheeseburger Lawrence. And we'll stay on Adams here, as we'll see what times he could put down here. Obviously, he was getting the fall back. Tires began to kind of hit a cliff. So he's going to elect to come in here and try to get the undercut for stage points. Maybe even win the stage. Speaking of, it looks like we may have another pitter. Yep, John Hagan, he's going to come in as well. So pit lane, a very crowded place. That will put Bowie Esports in the top 2 spots. But now we'll cut back to Adams, and we'll see here how long, what he elects to take here, him and Hagan. Obviously, with stage ending on 80, obviously you're going to probably want those fresh tires. 4 tires for Adams. He is away. We'll also watch John Hagan here in a second. See what he elects to take. This could be indicative. Maybe he treks to roll the dice, try a different strategy. Maybe he wants to take those 4 freshies. Puts Jack up. You see 2 go up on the left side. You're going to see 2 up. Oh, only 2 tires from Hagan, so he's going to try a 2-tire gambit here, as he will go away now, and he will escape the pit box. So Millet now, obviously, if you know that information, if you are someone for Bowie, obviously listening to the broadcast or watching it, you're relaying that information maybe to Hagan. Maybe you roll the dice, maybe not, but obviously Millet going to go long here in the tooth along with Feather Place, because if you take a look on track, Millet, obviously Hagan first car 1 down, but Hagan is here at the moment. Crossing the line now, Zach Millet right now about to enter 3, actually on the backstretch I should say, so long time till Hagan can unlap himself, and if he gets pinned 1 down by a caution, it can definitely play into the factor of Millet and Feather Place, as Hagan will have to line up to the tail end of the longest line. So 58 laps completed here. Millet, Feather Place, Wansing, Baxter, Pennell, your top 5. A couple cars have already taken their final pit stop in stage number 2 here. Hagan, Gaiman, Adams, and Co. all take it. Adams took 4, Gaiman took fuel, and Hagan took 2. So a mixed bag of strategies. Now a race leader is in. Ryan Pennell also coming in as well. So we're going to watch Millet here. Brandon Feather Place has come in as stayed out. He will lead a lap. But we're going to watch here and see what exactly Zach Millet will do here. Will he take 2? Will he take 4? Obviously, the long run down. Obviously, Hagan should get the jump on him just because of the proximity of the undercut. But what does Hagan feel is his best call? And in turn, whatever Millet probably does, we'll see the same thing for Brandon Feather Place. So Millet in his box, not misses marks. Away he will fly. Brandon Feather Place just comes in as well. Seth Wansing will be our new race leader. Jack up for 2. Does he take 4? He will take 4. So 4 tires for Millet. And this could be indicative, as he is now away. And if we catch the John Hagan here, you're going to see him skate around here. He's well clear at the moment as he comes out now. Zach Millet will be next car here. And Zach Millet not full up to speed. He is now up to speed. So a straightaways difference between the 2 cars that were pretty much nose to tail before this pit stop cycle started. Up front, Seth Wanzing still leading the way, though. Hagen and Millet are still a lap down, respectively. So if caution were to come out, they would be fighting for the lucky dog. Hagen will also come out ahead of Brandon Featherplace. There's John Hagen. Brandon Featherplace still on the low side here. He should also get jumped by his teammate of Zach Millet. No, actually, he's yet to zoom by because Brandon Featherplace, he also took 4 tires, so looks like Millet had a poor in lap, a poor out lap. He's going to get another car pit between him and Featherplace. We'll take a look at some numbers in a minute for that, but he will battle on for second. Seth Wanzing won't give up the lead. He will pit. Dale Markarski also in, meaning our current race leader is Matt Vordon. As he watches battle here, looking at the numbers, there was a 45-second pit lane time for Featherplace, a 51 for Zach Millet. So he lost about 6 seconds, and you can see that effect that's had. As now he is pretty much back in the traffic. He's obviously in that second pack right now. Good news, he's got 4 fresh tires, but yeah, you see the effect that has had. Wanzing will get passed by both Millet and Featherplace. Back up front, it is obviously Matt Vordon leading in that 0-0. And it's Galloway, Dixon, Withers, Johnson, your top 5. Keith Hackney will pit from 9th position. Brian Dixon also coming in as well, last of the Bowie sports cars. And obviously, looking at these cars right now, these are some of the guys that came in at lap 35. So it does make you wonder if they could top it off. But remember, Wanzing and Gaiman also came in at 35, and they had a top off of 55. So unless they found a magical amount of fuel, I doubt they're going to be able to make it to the end of the stage. We'll keep an eye on their times and their numbers, but right now they are running times that put them in the 29.979 last time for Verdon. John Hagen ran 28.84, but that could also be just tire differential playing a factor. Blake Galloway right there. Zach Millet will zoom on by. He's trying to get himself back on the lead lap. John Hagen has already put himself back on the lead lap, so he is now officially 1 down. Vordon looking again, maybe trying to save, so the ride on board here. Let's listen to his engine here just to see. I don't think he's really saving. Josh Battle's in as well. Yeah, you can see some lift there. So let's listen in here for 1 lap on Vordon and just see if he's trying to make that number or if he's just trying to ride around or is he actually trying to hit it. Yeah, you can see a heavy amount of lift there from Vordon by the speed boards. Battle and Hudspeth both in, but watch again the MPH here. Hits about 170. Oh, he gets on the wall a little bit, but you can see him drop it, hanging about 160, still letting it roll. For reference, we'll watch 1 lap, and then we'll watch data for our current race leader, well, not current race leader, but current on the pit cycle, John Hagen. Yeah, there's some extra lift right there. He is trying, I think, to hit that number here. He's not going to come in unless he is forced. But let's pay attention to John Hagen. Keep an eye on those RPMs. It was about 135. He came in about 6,900 RPMs. Now watch John Hagen as he comes from 1 and 3 and 4 here. You can see he gets on the throttle later with those fresh. Oh, Hagen gets auto-corrected, and he will hit the wall. John Hagen hits the wall. He does a Hildebrand, and that is going to be catastrophic for the driver of the 1. Oh, that is not good. That is not good at all. He is down low speed here, and that is going to put him, at the very least, a lap down and possibly out of this race. Depending on how severe the damage is, he is now going to have to limp around. Just an autocorrect took off that fender. Yep, and he is now beginning to sink. We'll keep an eye on him. As he limps it, obviously 1 car, you can see that right front toe link is broken. It is more than likely day done for John Hagen. Obviously kicking himself in the cockpit, yet it's not even turning. It is day done for Hagen more than likely as he will come down pit lane here. So catastrophic mistake there, just an overcorrection, and he hit it a ton. Like, just shocking to say the least. Riding on that knife's edge, and he ended up falling off. So we'll keep an eye on him as he comes in, but we'll cut back up to our race leaders. Actually, Vordon is coming in, I believe, or came in. Yeah, he's coming in now. Looks like he had a mistake, too, while we were watching that, so he is in now. He will give up what was the lead, then he ended up getting past anyway, so he's now down pit lane. Putting the lead now with a Blake Galloway. And we saw Tommy Withers come in for one extra lap here to top off. So it's Galloway, Withers, Johnson, McDonough. Now Millett will be in your top 5 once it all cycles through. Adams and Feather Place, the only other 2 cars on the lead lap. Josh Gaiman looking to unlap himself along with Matthew Kent. And then you'll see Gaiman get himself cleared to get himself back in the lead lap. And now it looks like Matthew Kent will follow through. Let's again, like we did with Vordon, let's watch Galloway here. Okay, you can see him lifting. So let's pull up his data again. Watch his speeds here going this corner. He's coming in anyway, so mute point is mute. As he will give up the lead, he can't hit it. And that will put us up. And Tommy Withers also coming in as well, so they are not going to try to stretch it. Brian Johnson is going to stay out another lap. Yep, he is coming in as well. Coming in a bit hot, but he will make it all the same. So that leaves Colin McDonough in his number 39 machine. Oh, he was thinking about coming in. He almost runs up Zach Millett off the road. So it looked like he was trying to come in, and that shows you that pit lane can be tricky. And it caught, almost put Millett in the same spot we saw John Hagan. Speaking of Hagan, he has got a 2 minutes of repair right now at the moment and is still beginning to climb. It is game over for John Hagan. His day is officially done. Even if he does come back out, it will not be in a running speed. Adams will come in now, take second. McDonough will be even more conservative here, make sure he doesn't end up, getting an unneeded penalty, as he will come in on lap 74. So at the moment, Millett, Adams, Featherplace, Gaiman, Kent will be your top 5 as this all cycles through, as we are a short order away from seeing the end of stage number 2. Only thing worth noting is we didn't really get a full retrospect to see if 4 tires or 2 tires was the call, because Hagan obviously crashed out before we could see it fully in line, and in turn, Millett did not get a good entry point along with Adams. They really had slow pit entry times. But regardless, I say that, but looking at the math, it looks like they balanced out. So overall, yeah, I would say at the moment, it seems like 2 tires may still not be the call on a long run. You have to have enough of a gap to make it work, but if you don't have the speed, it's not going to be enough here, as we see right now Millett going to get clear. About 4 seconds clear Jonathan Adams, and 7 seconds clear Brandon Featherplace. Looking at the battle here, we got Gaiman, Fleming, Oberstadt, and Baxter all under an umbrella here, 6 through 8, all poised at the moment to get stage points. Seth Wansing, last driver in on stage points at the moment. It's got a healthy gap, so this is pretty much the major battle we have on track at the moment. Gaiman going to stick it around the high side, gets stuck in the wall just a bit, though, like getting something caught in your teeth. Can't fully get unstuck. Oh, they're getting a little bit rubby here. You don't want to throw away a race finish here for a few stage points. So the question is, how hard do you want to fight? Gaiman gets in the wall again. Trying to clear Fleming. Fleming not going away like a bad rash. Millett will come around in a minute to start lap 79. Obviously, last time I stage was ended 1 lap earlier. We'll see if it ends on the proposed lap 80 or if it will go 1 more lap. Just to confirm, yep, it is lap 80 we will end stage on. So as Millett about to come across the line, he'll hit lap 79. Gaiman will get clear. We'll come back to that battle in a second. Yep, Millett now officially on lap 79, so he will hit lap 80 this time by, and he will take the stand. Oh, victory as he gets a heavy tank slapper. If that took him out of this race, it would flip this whole race on its head. But he keeps the car woed down. And he will come off of 4 here, just going to check it up, make sure and actually will back it up a little bit, may let a couple cars get the wave around here and get him back on the lead lap. He'll let Markowski and Vordon end up getting back on the lead lap here. And he will end stage with the victory. Looking further back, wait for Seth Wansing. He'll be the last car to end the stage. Obviously a bit of an honorable thing for Millett to do. Obviously showing a bit of respect, knowing that, hey, if I'm lapping you later on this race, please don't get in my way. Kind of a paying respect situation here. So Millett will win the stage. Then we take a look at the results here. It will be Millett, Adams, Featherplace, Kent, Fleming, Gaiman, Baxter, Pinnell, Oberstadt, Seth Wanzing. Your top 8 to 10. Obviously, it's not counting Patch. Who's it not counting? Millet, Adams, Featherplace, Kent, Fleming, Gaiman, Baxter, Ryan, Pinnell. Oh, it flipped Pinnell and Oberstadt. So it's Pinnell, Oberstadt, and Seth Wanzing your top 10 for stage 2 points. So as drivers come around to pit lane here, we'll take a quick 10-second break here. I'll take a quick 10-second break. And we'll watch pit stops play out here. Looks like we do have some information on John Haig. We'll cover that in just a second. So we'll take a quick 10-second break here as you watch pit stops happen, and we'll be just back in a second to watch the final stage. So don't go anywhere. Let's watch these pit stops. As we come back just in time for the final stage, we obviously saw some things play out there while we were watching, and we will get ready to start the final stage. Had to go get a quick bathroom break and get a quick refill, so sorry about covering stage 2 action here. But Featherplace will take the pole spot here for the start of the final stage as we get ready to get the show on the road. Featherplace, Kent, Baxter, Gaiman, Wanzing, Fleming, Hackney, Withers, Millet, Vordon, your top 10. Obviously, while we were away, taking that quick station stall break there, we saw Millet come in and take a long damage repair there. Which puts him back to 9th. Speaking of, obviously, we're talking about the bracket challenge we're going into tonight, and we see right there, Matthew Kent gets stuck in the wall a ton there. As that's going to allow Seth Wanzing to get clear. Now another click with a wall there by Kent. That's going to give a good run here, and that's going to stack up Millet and Co. as they're going to get stuck on that high side here. Kent still can't get out of that wall. Like that popcorn kernel, they can't get out of your teeth. He is pinched into that wall quite nicely, and he's now going to fall outside the top 10 for the Texas native. Looking finally make the bleeding stop, but all that wall hitting can really affect the car. Back up to 3rd, watching the battle for 3rd rage out here, as Wanzing will get clear of Josh Gaiman. Speaking of, obviously, I did allude to it before the break. We were talking about what happened to John Hagan. See Brian Johnson going a lap down here. But we were talking about during the break, and we were going to talk about now. Looks like Hagan, the car was rotating good. He overturned the car onto the apron, and it snapped. That's what plagued the one, and that's what took John Hagan out of this race. So just was rotating good, just a bit overcorrection, and similar to what we saw McLaughlin at the 500, one mistake can be catastrophic, and that is what happened here. Back up to our race leader, Brandon Featherplace will capitalize quite nicely with Hagan's misfortune and Millett taking damage repair, but we know Millett's got a fast 31. He's going to try to carve through the field like a hot knife through butter. Obviously, being through into the final stage, cars will be electing to pit, and cars will be pitting here for eventually for fuel and service. Ross Baxter, another driver that got a great pit stop here. Obviously, we saw him battling in the top 6, but now Wanzing looking poised. He will get clear in game and going to try to rip around, but that door is going to close. But you know that 61's just itching to get around here. Oh, Baxter gets to the wall a ton. That's going to open the door for game and to get a good run down the long straight. Baxter in the wall again. Just can't get similar assault. Just can't get it fully out of the wall here. When you're pinned on that high side, it can be a lonely road. This Gaiman will get a round, so put now Gaiman up to third. But smooth sailing for a race leader, Brandon Featherplace. He has opened up a healthy gap to Seth Wanzing over a second. Sorry, misread it. He had a second over to someone else. It's only a 2/10 gap. So Wanzing reeling in Brandon Featherplace. We know Sunny Money has been very strong at Darlington these past couple years. Looking poised to go 3 for 3 here. Wanzing's trying to get a run. Obviously, Wanzing, one of those drivers that you would think would have found victories so far this season, is yet still on the outside looking in. But he's had a lot better year than he did last year when he was plagued with connectivity issues. So he has recovered quite nicely, and he's recovering quite nicely, but still with a better season with a lot more top 5s, but still would like to get that win. Going to come down the stretch here, going to be on the corner panel of the 34. He wants to get that Hendrick Chevy into the front spot. But Featherplace going to hang on nicely as he is going to keep the lead spot here. Featherplace, Wanzing top 2 at the moment. Watch the top 2 begin to plague out their battles. It's still Featherplace and Wanzing, but right now Gaiman beginning to make small inroads. Last time by, he was fastest on the track. And look, don't look now, but Zach Millett, he's coming to crash the party. He's gotten his number 31 to the top 5. Obviously still maybe wondering a little bit, as you can see that front end is concaved in a little bit, so you're wondering how much damage he still has. However, looking at his times, he is running blistering lap times, but is running about dead even right at the moment with the cars around him, obviously because he's in traffic. So we'll see if that car gets some clean air. If he can get some clean air in that 31, can he be quite a threat here? Picking up, will actually ride on board with the 31. This actually will use the, so you see the move right now going down to make the move on the inside of Ross Baxter. Trying to find the right graphic, but we'll hold off on that as Millett is going to get the spot there. So put Millett now up to 4th. Now, to show you the information I was looking for, you can see as low as 15th, started 4th, but has shown some mad speed in that number 31. As he's now going to set his sights on Gaiman. Hackney also going to try to go low side on Baxter. They'll drive off, can't fully clear. Now he'll get clear, so put Hackney now in the 5th. Ross Baxter will slot down to 6th. Chris Fleming now going to try to make a run here. Can't fully get the run done. We'll cut back up to our race lead as it's beginning to get shrunken up here. as Feather Place, Wands, Gaiman all under a blanket. We have 15 cars on the lead lap. Austin Mongold, first one down. As at the moment, we also have 19 cars still running. Ryan Pinnell looks like he got some heavy damage. He's been on pit lane for a while, along with Josh Battles. John Hagan has pulled it behind the wall. Cheek Roller is still running, so he will jump John Hagan in the lap here. But as we watch this battle for the lead, question is, what can you do with it? As Gaiman is there, and we also have Zach Millett in co right there. Now we're right on board with the driver of the 31, as he's got a pretty good seat to see the podium spots ahead of him duke it out. Take a look at the lap times for the top four here. This time by, see who is the fastest. That time by, Zach Millett ran a time in the 29.12 for Millett. He goes the fastest. Then it's Gaiman, Feather Place, Wanzing in that order for the top four. At the moment, Zach Millett was also fastest on track in a dead tie with Hackney and Baxter, who ran 29.12 for their own. We'll check again this time by. We'll see who has the quicker speed. Wanzing maybe feeling the pressure as the heat is getting turned up. That time by, fastest on the track, was the driver of the 5 there. So he knows the pressure is getting cooked on him here as he's got a 61 and a 31 behind him. That 61 has been a long time since it's been in victory lane, along with Wanzing. Feather Place recently this season broke that long winless streak he had. So once you kind of get that win, it can really re-energize you and get you moving. Well, let's see how it goes here. We've now officially hit lap 100 of 160. So next time by, we'll have 60, actually now 101. So we'll now have 60 laps to go in this race. And a green flag pit stop still looms. Drivers scrap it out. Ooh, Gaiman gets up in the wall a little bit here. That's going to cause a little bit of breathing room between Wanzing and Gaiman. We know as the longer this run goes on, we'll see Ryan Pinnell finally leave the pit lane there. The longer this run goes on, makes you wonder, is anyone going to try an undercut? I doubt 2 tires will be the call, but we've seen it time and time again. Speaking of, there was the call. I was saying we're getting in the window. Looked like the window opened, and it's going to be Seth Wanzing. He is coming in. He'll be the first of the 4. Does not think he can get the job done on track with the car he's got as he's running dead heats with Feather Place. So he's like, I'm going to put the time in my own hands. And he is officially in. So we'll watch right now Seth Wanzing. He did the undercut last week and it bit, or 2 weeks ago to Landon. It bit him in the rear. So we'll see. Actually, sorry, Chicagoland's where it bit him in the rear. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see if he takes 4 or 2. I'm assuming it's going to be 4 tires and fuel. But we'll just quickly make sure here is obviously nothing on track of note happening. Tommy Withers also coming in as well. Jack goes up on the right sides. Jack goes up on the left sides. And away he goes. So he will come in from second. He will pit. And we will move onward. We do got some insider info here from some drivers on the track. Looks like we may have to keep an eye out for 2 tires. Stops are going to be around 101 and 126. So we're looking at 2 stops here to the finish. And it could be some drivers taking 2 tires here. Obviously, some of the drivers, thankfully, giving me that insight here. So thank you again, John, for providing that information. So we're going to keep an eye out for 2 tires here. It's going to be the premium for the final stop. So we're going to see some cars here come in this time by, and then maybe take 1 more to go to the finish. So a quick 4-run dash and then take some 2. Speaking of Zach Millett, he is also coming in this time by. Oh, he locked it up, though. We'll have to see if he got nabbed for speeding. That was a big lockup where it looked like he may have missed. We're going to watch here, see what happens. So as he comes in, Zach Millett, we're going to see first of all, watch him see if he takes 2 and 4. Assume 4 is going to be the call here. Gaiman also in as well. But I'm keeping an eye on the 31. Did he get busted for speeding? There's a risk because he locked it up. No, he is good, so he avoided catastrophe there, and away he will go with that front end still heavily crinkled up. Keep an eye on the right of your screen. We'll keep an eye on Seth Wanzing. He's coming around full speed, trying to chugga-chugga-choo-choo, but he is not. He's going to get jumped by the 31 of Millet. So overall, the overcut worked there for Millet, and that's going to be some information to pay attention to here. We're going to come back up to our current race leader, Brandon Featherplace. As other cars begin to peel in and out, Josh Gaiman also will lead pit lane here. He'll skate away. Keep an eye on the right of your screen. We'll keep an eye on the 31, the 5. We'll see where he cycles in. Yep, there goes Zach Millet. It looks like Gaiman's going to slot in right between Millet and Wanzing. Actually, Wanzing will outdrive the 61. So great out in lap 4. Zach Millet, he was able to charge through the field there and get up second. Matthew Kent also pitting in as well. So we'll keep an eye, obviously, from the little birdie from the pit box. We'll keep an eye on the strategies here. We're going to see different strategies play out, and it seems like 2 tires could be a call in play, as we saw a couple drivers running similar times to drivers on 4, so 2 tires could be the gamble here. But obviously, looking at some of the speed of some of these drivers, 2 tires can work differently for different drivers, but we'll have to keep an eye on that call. Fordon in. At the moment, when everyone does eventually cycle through, the question is, will it be Brandon Featherplace leading this race? Or will it be Zach Millet, who's now got some clean air, and he's beginning to pull a little bit of distance on Wanzing. Looking at times, Millet, obviously, undercut should work here a pretty penny, as Millet is putting blistering times down between Featherplace. However, it does make you wonder with Featherplace really backing it up. Is he trying to make it on one more stop here, possibly? Well, he will come on in. He'll forfeit that forfeiture. He is coming in now. And he will hit his box, giving the lead up to Hackney. Because we saw drivers make it to about 75-ish. They really saved the tank from 35, so that's about 40 laps. And when we flip the timer over here to show you, it's 49 laps to go. So unlikely, but quick splash and dash could maybe play dividends if you could make the tire work. Featherplace in along with Baxter. Baxter going to take, at the moment, we'll see what either car does. We'll more than likely see Zach Millet take the lead here. It'll be Millet, Wanzing, Gaiman, your top 3. But actually, Austin Mongol coming in. 4 tires for both Featherplace and Baxter, and Millet will skate on by Brandon Featherplace here as it plays on. Meanwhile, you see that catastrophe of cars here as they're working around lap down machinery here. Actually, not even technically lap down. Well, McDonough is, Galloway is not. They're trying to unlap themselves. So Hackney will come in. Wanzing and Gaiman are fighting hard for second. Brandon Featherplace will slot all the way down to 8th, currently on the track. So going long in the tooth doesn't seem to be the correct call, but we'll see how it plays out here as he'll have the tires later in the run and maybe open up the book strategy and give himself a chance here. But when it cycles through, Zach Millet will be our race leader, and Millet will be about 1.4 clear of Seth Wanzing. Wanzing still buried in traffic along with Gaiman here, stuck behind McDonough in the 39. Hackney in his box still. You'll see right there trying to get around. Foley can't get the job done. There goes Wanzing. There goes Gaiman. They will both get clear. Leaving 2 cars yet to pit yet. We got Blake Galloway in the 05 and Brian Dixon in the 03. As he Zach Millet now officially unlap himself. So if a caution were to come out, he would be not needing the lucky dog, and that would fall into the hands of Seth Wanzing. Second stop should be around 136, which if we take a look, obviously, at our laps to go here. Obviously, at lap 116, so we'll see about a 20-lap run. And then the question, obviously, of the day will be, will some take 2? Will some take 4? Obviously, some of the cars that went long in the tooth, including Brandon Featherplace, who went about 9 more laps than Seth Wanzing, about 6 more than Zach Millet and Josh Gaiman. can have a little extra room to maybe play something different here. Obviously, you got to hope he's got that in the bag of tricks because that is going to be a big task to make up. Meanwhile, the closer we get under 40, it makes you wonder, are Dixon and Galloway going to try to stretch it? At the moment, that's what I assume their play is going to be here. Oh, as Dixon gets stuck behind Gaiman, that's going to check Gaiman up a bit. But the more these laps tick down, we know a fuel run gets you about 40 laps. As we saw, as you see right there, a bit of a wall tap. We saw the latest of the pit stop hitters under the last window get about 40 laps on a run, 35 to 75, maybe 73. So the further they get down the window here, they could be in the catbird seat possibly if it stays green, but they're losing time hammer or fist though. And actually, we'll ride on board real fast with the 03 at Dixon. As you can see him going very slow. Mongold in it again as well, but, oh yeah, look at him really, but maybe letting Feather Place go. Yeah, look at those RPMs. He is letting the engine drop. He is lifting and coasting to try to make it on one stop. And now he's officially coming in. So Dixon is in. I assume it's going to be the same thing for Blake Galloway. Yep, he is in as well. So they pushed at the 42. They are going to try to make it on one stop, I assume is their play. Or they may be just hoping to flip the stage possibly and hope that if a caution were to come out at the right time, they could reap it. But they are going to try, keyword try, to make it possibly on one more stop. In turn, that will hand the lead back to Zach Millett, who's now got a 2.83 second gap on Wanzing. So when this is done and cycled through, it will be Millett, Wanzing, Gaiman, Featherplace, Tommy Withers, your top 5. Obviously, Withers pitted, Wanzing pitted the earliest. Wanzing picks, Withers picked, a lot of W's. Wanzing pitted the earliest. Then it's Tommy Withers. Withers pitted at 103, Wanzing pitted at 102. Speaking of, we see right here, battle for second. Gaiman going to get around Wanzing. So Wanzing really now starting to see feel the struggles of that undercut as his tires begin to fall off here. As Brandon Featherplace, who's got the freshest tires of the top 5, is going to make it look like a smooth operator as he is going to get clear here. So put Wanzing now down to 4th. Brandon Featherplace in 3rd as his times are still in the 28s while his compadres around him are running 29s. So Wanzing now you could say is in the Connor Daly strat where he has to hit a number, but the problem is he knows his tires are beginning to get cooked, so he has to try something aggressive here, maybe hope for a late caution. Brandon Featherplace trying to reel in game. So this is the battle for second, one of the closest we have on track. The other close battle we have is Hackney and Adams as they fight for top 5 honors. Hackney came in at 113, Adams came in at 109. So while I got this second in the action, we'll take a quick wrap around the field here. So Zach Millett, currently our race leader, he was battling toe-to-toe with Hagan, but when Hagan had his little mistake, it has basically put Millett in a spot where he has been the second strongest car today, and now he has the lead. He's led 41 of 123 laps, and is going to be leading at least for a little bit longer. Josh Gaiman now sitting in second. He has had a very up-and-down day. As low as 18th, started second. Has been, sorry, 6th, is up to second, high of second. Brandon Featherplace behind him, battling Millett in the bracket challenge. If he can finish ahead of Millett, he will go to the finals and fight Josh Battles. But if not, it will be Millett taking on Joshua Battles in the finals at Kansas. Seth Wanzing in 4th. He's been a top 5 fret all day, but feeling the effects of an undercut. Keith Hackney now in 5th. He had an opening lap incident where he ended up getting some damage, but he's recovered quite nicely and has gotten the car up to 5th. Jonathan Adams in 6th, another car that was top 3 strong early in stage number 2, but has fallen back a little bit, but still top 10 run. Tommy Withers sitting in 7th. Driver that has tried the undercut to get the advantage. We'll see if the undercut can work for him. Matt Verdon in 8th, another driver that's kept his nose clean and has put the car nicely inside the top 10. Ross Baxter sitting in 9th. And then Chris Fleming rounds out your top 10. We're going to cut back up now to second. His game now dealing with some connectivity issues. This could be concerning, as we saw last night during the truck race. He was struggling with connectivity. So you got to be a little bit wary as he gets too many blinks. He may be told to concede spots or even get off the track. So better hope that thing settles out. The one maybe good news at the moment is if you are a fan of Gateman and Featherplace, they are at the very least, as we see right now, the battle for second commencing. Featherplace going to try to go low side of Gaiman. Going to ride it in deep, trying to maybe push him off his perch, but can't fully get the job done. Matthew Kent will pit here with 35 to go. I think that's going to be his final pit stop here. We'll quickly just check back over. Yep, 127, still a little bit of ways away from final pit stop, but he will come in. But back to the point I was trying to say while we were watching that, if you look at the speed graphic here, you can see it's only 2:30 to our current race leader, Zach Millett. Featherplace is still running, and Gaiman are running faster times than our current race leader, but if I had to guess, there could be some traffic that may play a factor that may knock them back down here. You see Featherplace going to try to get clear here as well, as we hit a couple different graphic buttons there. Again, Featherplace has the faster tires here. Going to try to rip around Gaiman. Pennell is going to kind of be a bit of a roadblock here. He's going to get out of the way. Does not want to impede this battle. El Presidente going to play it smart here. But remember, I was talking about it during the last stop there. Keep an eye on the two cars sandwiched between right now these battles we're watching. Brian Dixon and Blake Galloway. Both of them came in the latest at 119 respectively for each. There is an off chance they could make it to the finish line here if they can make the economy work, but it is going to be a stretch beyond belief, but they are going to try it. So we'll have to keep an eye on those two. Meanwhile, Featherplace will get clear for second and will try to set his sights on reeling down his teammate in Zach Millett with 31 laps to go. Getting close to final pit stops here. Gaiman stuck in the wall there a lot. He's going to cost up a lot of times. He was pushing and pushing and pushing, and it looks like it fell off a cliff there. Still in the top three, but now beginning to struggle here with the long run. We're going to keep an eye on these intervals here. Long run working. And Seth Wansley, he'll come in for his final stop here. He is in. We'll keep an eye on him. We'll see if he takes 2 and 4. I'm going to assume he's going to take 4. But he could try to roll the dice here. We're going to watch Featherplace here. He has gone basically from the back. He went about 6 laps longer than Millett did, and it is showing in the tires right now. Veteran experience of A squared in Brandon Featherplace going against Zach Millett, who's still a very accomplished driver, as you can see by his license and his I rating, I can see here. But overall, little less experience in A squared with their rule sets. So we'll see how this plays out. It's team boss versus team driver, as they're also the top 2 in the bracket challenge. 29 laps to go. A pit stop still looms. By the way, Seth Wansing did take 4 tires. Gap is now under a second. Featherplace is reeling in Zach Millett at ham over fist speed. As we'll ride on board with Featherplace. The question is, we know Millett's going to put up a fight. He's not going to let his team boss roll over on him. He's going to get the elbows out, but how much does he want to fight this? You don't want to end up junking the car trying to, we saw with Gaiman end up junking the car, lose 3 seconds trying to stay up from a battle that may not be winnable. Oh, Featherplace gets way low as he just got loose off exit. He is pushing hard. Patrick Oberstadt, he's coming in from 9th, make his final pit stop. This could be for the race win, depending on how strategies play out. 26 laps to go here. Again, I'd like to take this opportunity real fast. Thank everyone for tuning in here on ABN Studios. Thank you for joining us on the ride. Hope this race has been up to your expectations, and we hope these last 26 laps can be a treat for you. So we are going to watch this play out here. Featherplace reeling in Millett. Right on the nose, the tail here. He is going to try to zoom on by. Josh Gaiman pits from 3rd place. Battle for the lead. Featherplace as smooth as you like, and he will get clear. So put the 34 back up to the point. It took him well over 30 laps to get back there, but he has done it. Question is, does he have that luxury if he takes 4 again to do that? Gaiman also taking 4 tires along with Vordon's. We're going to keep an eye if anyone rolls the dice for 2. Actually, sorry, Gaiman is now in his box now. We'll see if he takes 4 or 2. Wansing ended up taking 4. Gaiman will end up taking 4 as well. Jonathan Adams, he will pit. I hate to say it, but I'm still keeping an eye on these 2 drivers, Dixon and Galloway. Do they have the economy to make it work? They are pushing the tank here, and I think there's an interesting note to see if they can make it. I could be way off base, but I got a hunch they could be doing what Withers did at Auto Club here and trying to stretch the numbers to work. Millet has really fallen off here. Vordon tried to blend. I think it's time for a pit stop. Millet now coming in. Obviously, this is a time you do not want to make a mistake here. Do not want to lock it up. Do not want to speed. But you want to be aggressive to make sure you get the time you need, because a couple tenths on pit lane could be the difference between you hanging on to the lead or you maybe losing it. Millet and Baxter both pit. We're going to watch Zach Millet here. We're going to watch exactly to see what he does. Featherplace is obviously going to go long here, but he'd probably be in his best interest to cover off Featherplace. Sorry, Featherplace's better interest to cover off Millet. I'd assume that would be the call here. He is in. Jack goes up on the right side. 2 tires. Will he take 4? Keith Hackney pits from second. Oh, 2 tires. There's the call there. 2 tires from the 31, and away he goes. So Featherplace knows what he has to do per se, and it seems to be the advantage does favor 2 on 4 for short runs. So he will come on out. He will blend. Still waiting on Brandon Featherplace here. 20 laps to go. He still has 1 more stop to take. At the moment, it's Featherplace, Dixon, Hackney, Galloway, Millet. However, Featherplace still has to pit, and we assume at the moment Dixon and Galloway may have to pit. Looks like Featherplace is coming in. Similar to what we saw with Millet, we are going to watch Featherplace to his pit stop completion here. Does he take 4 or does he take 2? This could be what decides the race and decides if he can get the W. Obviously, Millet will probably clear Featherplace regardless of what Featherplace takes, but does he want to be on equal footing as Millet, or does he want that slight advantage? Do the tires even give you an advantage? Hackney looks like he had to fix some damage, or maybe got busted for speeding. He's in his box for a long time. All right, keep an eye on the Jacks. Jack goes up on the right side. He takes 2. Hackney's now away. Oh, he also takes 2. About a dead even stop between Featherplace and Millet. Keep an eye on the blend. There is Millet right there. See if we can get a wide angle. Yep, he's going to come out well ahead of Featherplace. Gap is about 1.8 seconds and growing at the moment. About 2 seconds. So let's set the table again here with 18 laps to go. Currently, our race leader is Brian Dixon. He has a 9-second gap between him and Zach Millet. If I can show the speed graphic. There we go. 8.72 to be exact. Brian Dixon maybe trying to save fuel here. May not have the luxury to go full speed here. Could be at the mercy of Millet if Millet is going full throttle. Then you got Brandon Featherplace about 3 seconds back right now at the moment to Zach Millet. He showed he has the speed similar to Millet, but now on equal footing. Does he have the ability to reel in that 31 and his team mate? Then, if Dixon were to pit, then you got Josh Gaiman. He came in the earliest. He came in at 1:35. He is now, at the moment, if Dixon pits, he will get the last step of the podium. Then it's Galloway, who presumably will have to pit one more time. Then Wansing. Then Adams. Then Vordon. Withers. Olberstadt. Baxter. Kent. And Fleming your top 13 with only Baxter. Actually, I should say, I believe it's Tommy Withers. Actually, I'm trying to find who the last car on the lead lap is. It's Matt Vordon in 8th. So right now, again, I think Dixon's trying to save something, but right now the gap has now fallen to 6.3 seconds. He is not running speeds quick enough. He's losing about a second a lap. With 15 laps to go, he will not keep that lead on current strategy. However, it does raise the question, if he can stretch it, can he possibly maybe make it a 1-2-3 for Bowie? Now Millett a little bit in traffic here. We're going to keep an eye on the intervals. Last time by, we'll check the times. Zach Millett, 28.89. Brandon Featherplace, 28.90. So dead even. Problem is, dead even's not going to get you enough to close that gap if you're Brandon Featherplace. At the moment, though, Millett is a little bit in traffic. Millett has gotten the gap down to 4.4 seconds. 13 laps to go. By the way, if we do get a late caution, that will flip this whole thing on its head. It's now 3.6. Oh, yeah, his fault completely. Looks like Brian Dixon has pitted, so Brixton will give up the lead. He cannot make his magical number work. He will pit, putting Millett and Featherplace in the top 2. So now the question of the day is, can Brandon Featherplace reel in Zach Millett with the laps remaining? We'll go on board with Brandon Featherplace here, and we'll watch around. You can see that there's 3 lap cars in front of him and Zach Millett. It's going to be a Herculean task, but not impossible if you're Brandon Featherplace. He's going to have to make good inroads. That time by, he was faster than Millett by about 0.2. But again, that's not going to be enough to completely close that gap. Coming up to 10 laps to go here. Cross the line, Zach Millett. Keep an eye on the intervals here. 29.04 for Millett, 28.98 for Featherplace. Again, Featherplace was faster, but again, at the rate he's going, it's not going to be enough. If we get the quick handy-dandy calculator out here, when he crosses the line here, it's going to be about 2.6 seconds. And if we divide that by 9, that's going to, he to go out, well, it may be closer than we're thinking. 2.5 is now the gap, so he's going to have to take up about 0.27 a tenth a lap. That time by it was not enough. He's going to have to double his current inroads here. But right now, well, Brandon Featherplace is working his way through traffic. Just got around Ross Baxter, though, who is, I believe, a teammate. That time to buy, 29.06 for Millett, 28.93 again for Featherplace. It's an inroad, but it's not quick enough. I know, take a shot every time I say it's not quick enough, but it's just worth hitting the nail on the head. Real fast while we watch this, Millett's going to catch one more car, and I believe that is Brian Dixon. It's actually not Brian Dixon, it's someone. Can't fully see yet who it is, but they could be the last car he catches. It's a 60 of Patrick Overstat. We'll see if he plays friend or foe here. Oh, he's not going to fully get out of the way, but he's also going to give a little bit of a toe to Millett. So we'll see. Gap is now under 2 seconds here. 1.94, so that little checkup may have gave some life to Brandon Featherplace. 6 laps to go. He's going to have to make up a 0.32 interval each lap to do, and it is not, he's not hitting those numbers. But that time by, it was the intervals to start here. By the way, nothing else really of note Vordon is in a bit of a battle with Galloway for 6, as Galloway is trying to stretch it. Five laps to go. Gap is now 1.8. That Team Conti Machines look like it's been through the ringer, but it's still fast. Times are beginning to fall again. Featherplace has gotten to 1.5, but with 4 laps to go, he's going to need a major mistake from Millet to get this done. He does have 1 lap car ahead of him in the third, 43 at Tommy Withers. He's going to catch Withers here coming into 3 and 4. After that, though, it is smooth track, as you see right there in the far shot. Featherplace is gotten around Patrick Oberstadt. Oh, Withers is going to check up right there a little bit the Millet. Millet going to probably send it here into 1. 3 laps to go. It's a 1.3 gap. If you're Millet, you do not want to see a late restart. Nay, do you want to see a caution here. You want to see this go green to the finish. It is now down to a second, but it looks like the clock is running out. 1 point is the gap. Featherplace is also going to get around 2 lap cars here. 2 laps to go. Next time by, the leader will see the white flag. Nine-tenths is the gap. 1 car between Millet and Featherplace. I'm wondering if Featherplace has run out of time. No caution flag in sight. As we come down the stretch, we're going to see the white flag in the air. 1 lap to go. 7/10 is the gap. Millet looking to join the 3 Winners Club along with John Hagan. Featherplace, if he can find a way around, it will put him in the 2 Winners Club. Whoever wins this counter will also advance in the bracket challenge. No traffic will pull in front of Featherplace. Featherplace about a half a second away, but it's not going to be enough. Coming off of 4, Zach Millet is going to find victory, and he's going to win the Nashville 220 and get his 3rd win of the year. And it will be Brandon Featherplace coming home in 2nd, with Gaiman going to round out the last step of the podium. You could say that is just what the doctor ordered for Gaiman, as he will get a long-deserved podium. Long time since he's gotten that last one. But Zach Millet, your race winner. Featherplace, only thing you could maybe say is if he came in 1 lap early, he maybe had a chance. But he decided to go a little longer, a few extra laps to give himself that extra grip. And he tried, but it just wasn't enough. You could also maybe argue it came down to pit load times. He had the faster pit stop, but he had the slower pit lane time. So Millet, maybe being a bit more aggressive, was the decisive factor. But regardless, the 1-2 for Bowie. They will extend their lead in the Constructors, and more importantly, Zach Millet will get his 3rd win of the year, as he is going to burn it down here on the front stretch. And see, Brandon Featherplace, obviously no hard feelings. They are teammates. He'll also join in on the celebrations here. Obviously friends for now, but obviously when the championship's on the line, maybe come down the road. You know, for a fact, they'll still be friendly. They obviously do like each other as teammate and team boss, but yeah, it's good to see at least some camaraderie towards 1 and 2 here today. So as Millet will finish up his celebrations here, do not go anywhere. We will hear from the top 3, and we'll give their perspectives of today's festivities. Wait from Millet, Featherplace, and Josh Gaiman if we can. So we'll give them a second to come on in, and we'll hear their thoughts. At the moment, looks like we're going to file in. We'll give him just one more second here. The pile in, if anyone else to pile in, it may be a bit of a second for Bowie to get situated here. So while we wait for them to get pulled in, we'll hear from our third place finisher, Josh Gaiman, and then we'll work our way up. Josh, this is Kevin, the ABM booth. You got a copy? Ooh. We'll try that again. Josh, you got a copy?
I got you now.
Alrighty. Obviously, we'll hear from you first here, as you were one of the first to file in. You had a very interesting race, to say the least, highs and lows, but it seemed like a very good drive. So, I guess we'll start off at the beginning. Obviously, you qualified all right well, put yourself in P6, and you seemed to be kind of up and down, but it seemed like you were struggling at least a little bit early on. So, what is your thoughts on this track as a whole? Is it a track that fits into your wheelhouse? Because I believe, if I talked to you before, you said this is not a track that's in your strength, a track that you consider your strength.
I think it's really the opposite. It's probably the best track for this car, in my opinion. Heck, I think my first Cup win came in, or with this car came in Darlington over at HTL, but this was fine. You know, at least it wasn't unpredictable and all over the place, but it just kind of, I struggled with it just a tiny bit. It probably put me on the back foot early on. Just kind of had to pit early and jump people and just try to, you know, do what I could with the tires I had.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, we obviously saw the strategies play out. As you speaking of, you were jumping ahead, and when we got, obviously, with some pandemonium around of you, were able to get into that top four. So we'll take it to the final stage here, and we're looking, you're in that pack with Wanzing, Featherplace, and Millet, and obviously you came in second earliest. Wanzing obviously did the undercut. Were you thinking undercut and overcut was going to be your key to success?
I definitely wanted to undercut this race just to try to get that really quick launch on the start, but it just didn't gain the time that it does at other places. This one here there's a bit of fall off, but not nearly as much as you'd think. So it didn't work out all that well, and just on cold tires it was super snug, so it was tough to really get going.
Looking further on, obviously, the undercut didn't play out the perspective, but you still were able to round out a third. I do got to ask, because there were some grumblings of maybe 2 tires being the way to go in the final stop. Did you consider it, or did you just want 4 fresh tires just in case there was a late caution or something?
I mean, with it being a night race and the car already being that snug, that wasn't even a consideration for me, because usually if you have a tight car, for whatever reason with this thing, you take 2 tires and then it gets worse. At least that's my experience with it. 2 tires just usually makes the thing feel even tighter, or if it's loose, it makes it even looser. Like, there's really I don't ever see an advantage to it, to be honest, except for maybe like 1 or 2 tracks.
Fair enough. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's still a great P-drive, even with the strategy in question. I do got to quickly ask, if a late caution were to come out, were you coming in, or were you going to try to stay out till the end?
I mean, heck, with the long run we had there, I probably would have come in. I think I still had like 2 or 3, maybe it was probably 2 sets of tires left. So, I mean, I'd have just thrown 4 on and, you know, put it to the wood.
Fair enough. Looking on ahead, obviously, next week we go to Kansas. Obviously, right now you are sitting 14th in the standings, but with some drivers having eligibility concerns, they could bump their way back in. So you're not fully safe, but with this result being a good one, do you think this can be something to springboard you well into Kansas and keep the good results going?
Yeah, Kansas is, I mean, it's a pretty wild track. It's provided some pretty good races. It's also provided some pretty good parking lots. So I guess we'll kind of wait and see how the car feels and how everyone's feeling with each other. But, yeah, I got some pretty good confidence going into that. Last time I raced Kansas, it went fairly well. So we'll just have to, you know, wait and see how it goes.
Yep, that's all you can really do. Is there anyone want to thank? Family, friends, sponsors, what have you? Floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, just shout out to all the guys at Dirty Air Motorsports. You know, 2 of them couldn't make it tonight, but we held down what we could with just 2 drivers. And shout out to ARCS as a whole for just putting everything on that they've done. And, you know, we're going through some ups and downs recently, but, you know, the racing has been phenomenal on the stuff we've been driving. And, you know, shout out to ABN for doing this broadcast. They're always fun to have on.
You'll love to see clean racing. You'll love to see the results here tonight, and it was definitely a wild ride to watch. But it's been great talking to you, Josh. Enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully see you having another strong week at Kansas.
Yeah, let's hope.
And that was our third place finisher, Josh Gaiman, and that will move us on nicely to our second place finisher, Brandon Fadplace. We'll hear his thoughts now. Brandon, this is Kevin the ABM booth. You got a copy?
I do. How's it going?
It's doing good here. So obviously, it looked like Bowie was locked in here tonight, as you and Milt were definitely foot to the floor. But we'll have to start at the beginning as well, like we always do. Looking onward, obviously, your car seemed quite strong. So we know when we last talked to you, I think in Atlanta, you were, or at least before Darlington was a track that's in your wheelhouse per se. Were the conditions definitely favoring you out there tonight?
I don't know if they totally favored me, but it was definitely something that I enjoy. The tire fall off was pretty immense. The air played a big factor, air blocking and such. So, this was definitely one of the tougher races that we've had so far, and I would dare to say probably near the top for all season.
We definitely saw that, and this is where the big boys came to play. Looking further on, obviously you were kind of muddling around, getting up and down, battling in those top fives for the first two stages, and then comes the final stage. You're in a pack of four with Millet, yourself, Gaiman, and Wanzing, and you'd elect to go for the overcut here. So we talked to Gaiman, who went for the undercut. I'm going to ask you your question. What was compelling you to do the overcut? As it seemed like at first it looked like it was a bad choice, but then you reeled down Millet and you put yourself in a spot with the last pit stop looming to make a run. So what was your strategy to go for the overcut?
I had a number in my mind, lap number, um, and I was pretty much stuck to that. So that
Pit
was
stop.
20 to go was my number, and I started, Seth. I was able to keep Seth behind me for a little while, and I noticed he did the massive undercut. At least I thought, and and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to stick to the plan because I was going to take two regardless, and I thought that was too early for two tires. So I knew 20 was a pretty good number for two tires. At least I thought so. So I just made sure that I had at least ran to 20 to go.
Yeah, because we saw you try two, I believe, at the end of stage two, and it seemed to work out all right. So obviously you took that strategy call and ran. Well, first took four, ran down Millet, and it was team boss versus teammate for those last 20 laps. So take us through that final encounter, as it seemed like you were ticking down, just trying to run down Millet. Take us to that fight you had with him in those last 20, 25 laps.
It's always real fun racing with Zach. He's very respectful, very fast. So I knew I'd have to push. I took two tires there at the end, like I said, and I wasn't expecting it to be as tight firing off as it was. But I was kind of struggling like the first couple of laps, probably first 4 or 5 laps of that last run. Um, and whenever the right rear finally did heat up, I four wheel slid out of turn two and crammed into the fence. So I had a smidge of wheel damage, but I pretty much just drove the wheels off of it right there, and I didn't seem to catch lap traffic in the right spots as he did. He was able to maneuver past those guys pretty quick, and it was taking me a little bit too long to get past them. But all in all, for our team, I think it was a great night. Um, I definitely drove the wheels off of it right there at the end to try to get to him, but I was just a little bit too short.
Yeah,
Need a couple more laps.
yeah, sometimes it can come down to that, but at the end of the day, you still have that win in the back pocket. So at the end of the day, it stings for a P2, but it's not like it has major championship implications. But looking further on, obviously next week being Kansas, obviously with you now out of the bracket challenge, but still looking for good results. Thoughts on Kansas as a whole? Do you think it's a track we can see that 34 be competitive like tonight at Darlington?
No, maybe not. I mean, I might be. I think I'm top five, maybe top 10 there, but it's one of those cookie cutter tracks. So there's going to be a lot of fast guys there next week. So, I just pretty much have to stay out of the mess. And these tracks don't statistically, I seem to kind of struggle at for some reason. So we'll see. I'll definitely put the practice in and hopefully we can go get them next week.
Well, we got to the point. If there's anyone you want to thank, family, friends, sponsors, what have you, floor is yours. Take it away.
First and foremost, thanks to Bowie Esports, Zach Millett, Brian Dixon, Ross Baxter. Those guys are awesome to race with and against. So, uh, huge thanks to them. Thanks to ABN for the broadcast. Thanks to everyone who watches. my friends, family, thanks to the league. And we'll see y'all next week.
All right, it's been great talking to you, Brandon. Enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully he'll be just as strong as Kansas. But regardless, take care. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.
And that was Brandon Featherplace, our second place finisher. And now we will hear from our main winner, the teammate to Brandon Featherplace, Zach Millett. We'll hear his thoughts now. Zach, this is Kevin, the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Kevin, what's up?
Not much, but definitely watched a great performance that you put on there, as it was a very interesting race to watch all the way to the finish. But we got to talk about the beginning like always. You qualified P2, and early on in Stage 1 and Stage 2, you're battling hard with John Hagan. So kind of your thoughts with your battle with Hagan there, is it seemed like at the time that was going to be a battle between you and him for the win.
Yeah, it's always fun racing John. It's always pretty damn close. And tonight it just seemed like whoever was out in front had the advantage. The dirty air behind was just insane, and to get a fast lap and keep up around this place, you really have to run a certain line, and trying to peek your nose out here and there and not get loose, it was tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate that for John that he got into the wall there, and because he was probably gonna be up there winning this thing tonight.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, obviously when that happened, you also had your own little almost incident with, I believe it was battles or someone coming with a couple laps to go in Stage 2. And we saw you at the end of Stage 2 elect the pit to fix up some extra damage there, putting it back, I believe, to 8th or 9th. So was any of that damage really severe? Were you worried there was possibly something that was going to affect the speed of your car? But because we saw the front end, it looked very caved in. So were you worried that any of this damage could have been really severe, or were you just like, it's still fast regardless of whatever happened?
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was an absolute dump truck. Since about halfway. The funny thing is, right when John hit the wall and pulled down low, stupid me, I looked over and I said, oh shit, what happened to John? And then as soon as I did that, I went up and hit the wall on exit and instantly had wheel damage. So from that point on, it was an absolute plow. It was like driving in winter with plow, and it was just awful. And then it was around that time, somewhere in the second stage there, I ended up I forget who it was, might have been Battles, I don't know, just trying to boost him forward, and he had somebody checking up in front of him, so we kind of ran into each other a little bit, caved the front end, just made the old Camry even shorter. So I'm surprised we had as much pace as we did, because it was driving awful, and to get a win is it's an absolute miracle.
Yeah, to see the fortune of you, and obviously we know Featherplace also had some wheel damage as well, so a lot of cars struggled and got some wheel damage, but you were able to keep the car ahead. Looking further on, obviously pit stops happened in the final stage. You come in about middle, get a healthy distance, and then you get caught by Featherplace. And we were thinking about on the broadcast, 2 tires seemed to be a call, and only you and Featherplace really risked it. So what was again, we figured the thought process was we saw some of the times, but what was the mindset for going for 2 on that final pit stop?
It was more of a choice for him. I really didn't have much choice. My car was so tight because it was basically broken. I was getting like 10% more wear on the right front than I was before the damage, and it was just plowing. So I had to take 2 to just try to loosen it up, and I dialed the brakes back as far as I could. It was like I was trying to get the thing to kick out. Like in 3 and 4, get back to gas, I was just hammering on it to try to get it to step out. And I don't know. There was towards the end there, he was catching me so fast. I was trying not to pay attention to it, but I was just trying to put as many cars between him and I as humanly possible, and get to the end.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that final battle, if Featherplace were to catch you, do you think you were a sitting duck, or do you think you would have been able to keep that car ahead? Because you were complaining the car was a dump truck, so I'm wondering if Featherplace got you, how much of a fight do you think you would have been able to put up?
Oh man, we probably both would have wrecked each other. Because the defensive line is up top, and when your car's super tight, that's not really where you want to be. So it was probably going to be a nightmare. And but I don't know, we probably would have, maybe had a photo finish. It would have been cool.
Yeah, but regardless, you find the flag here today, and in turn, you'll advance to the finals in the bracket challenge, taking on, speaking of battle, I don't think he may have been the car that gotten you, but regardless, you'll be facing him in the finals. So, thoughts as Kansas as a whole, do you think it's a track that's in your wheelhouse enough that we could see you maybe get the win and also win the bracket challenge?
Yeah, I think it's a possibility. We'll give it hell for sure. I don't know. It's kind of the only reason I'm racing at this point is that bracket thing, which ironically I didn't know existed until before last week. So I was told that we can't make the playoffs. Whatever the percentage comes out to be is like high 70s or whatever if I make the rest of the races. So since I can't make those anyway, we're kind of on the fence of, do we want to continue the season or I've got some Team Conti things I can do on Sunday nights or just, go watch the real race. But I don't know. I guess we'll play it by ear and see what turns out with that. And yeah, we'll go to Kansas and hope for the best.
Yeah, it'd be a shame if you. Yeah, obviously we see the points there. Obviously, it'd be a shame if obviously it still can't compete, which it does looks in the moment you may not be able to. It'd be a shame, but it'd still be great to see you out on the track, regardless, fighting week in and week out because you bring some great, entertaining products. But looking onward ahead, if there's anyone to thank, family, friends, sponsors, what have you, floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you, Kevin, first and foremost for the broadcast. ABN Studios always do an awesome job. Big thanks to ARCS, Bowie Esports, BP. He's fast as always. Ross Baxter and Brian Dixon. Awesome team to be a part of. Shout out to Brian tonight too. He was the only Bowie Esports car without wheel damage. So I don't know. That's kind of huge. But shout out to Team Conti, Sim Performance, EMR Paintball, and that S4 guy on Twitch.
All right, it's been great talking to you, Zach, and it's obviously great watching there today. Hopefully we'll see you next week, and hope you can bring home the W for the bracket challenge, maybe even get the win as well. But regardless, take care. Have a good rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.
And that was our race winner, Zach Millett. And with that, our interview section is closed, and we are going to go on to the final results. So as we take a look at the final results here, we'll take off the interview screen as well. Zach Millett takes a W in about a half-a-second gap over Featherplace. Featherplace was coming, but just ran out of time. Josh Gaiman rounds out the podium, and Adams will be 4th, Wanzing will be 5th, Vordon will be 6th, Galloway will be 7th, one first car, one down, as he, I believe, tried to stretch it, but just couldn't make it work. Withers 8th, Oberstadt 9th, Baxter 10th, Brian Dixon 11th, Chris Fleming 12th, Matthew Kent 13th, Keith Hackney 14th. Let's move further on through the results. Dale Markowski 15th, Brian Johnson 16th, Colin McDonough 17th, Gavin Hutspeth 18th, Ryan Pennell 19th. Last cars finish under their own power. Mongol first the retirements, with Battles, Lawrence, Hagen, Marshall, Wood being the last of the 25 runners. So with that, we will conclude here tonight. Actually, I forgot to take the interview. I clicked the wrong thing. There we go. Let's get race winner and interview off the screen. So with that will do us here for tonight. Obviously, like I said, next week we are going to Kansas. So tune in again here in ABN Studios for the race at Kansas. Again, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time as we edge ever closer to the championship as we get closer and closer to the regular season finale. Can Hagen keep making the races and defend his title? If not, we have some drivers also in the bubble as well, including Cody Pennell, Dane Michelle, Blake Galloway, Dale Markowski. They're on the bubble right now. Could open up spots if they don't make it for drivers that are a little bit low the line as well. So we'll have to watch out, see how it all plays, and we'll see how it all shakes out. But regardless, my name has been Kevin Young. It's been great calling the action here. We'll see you next week. Take care, and all of you have a good rest of your evening.